And bro, I'll never forget, man. He looked me in the eye and he says, Vince, I don't know what the problem is. You're making enough money now. Just hire a nanny to take care of your kids.
Oh.
And bro, you say that to a proud New York Italian. Bro, when those words came out,
who already has a reputation of being a cocksucker, Dick.
That Vince Russo, yes, Russo, you are so full of shit. You don't even know which end is up. You can't find your ass with both hands because you're blinded by the compacted feces that fills your fucking brain. Get help. Jeez. And this, bro, fuck you and your bro. You delusional piece of shit.
Times have been tough, no doubt about it. Tough on all of us. But you know what? So be it. The Workers Club. I love the name.
Hey, Workers Club 181. It's me and Larry. Yeah, we're in it now. Yeah, baby. No Trevor, because I didn't want to do that to the poor boy. I mean, his face, bringing up, you want to do, do the... no Gus. Gus told I'm gonna sell him out right now, live on air. He was like, "We gotta do the Russo book. Yeah. And yeah. When I was like, "You want to do the Russo book?" You left me on red. Okay, we can't do the Tony Dungy book or the Elvis book unless you pick the book. That's all I'm saying. You got to eat the vegetables. So, but before all that, before we get to total nonstop agony, Jim Ross went through successful brain surgery today. We haven't caught up with our favorites in a while because we've been talking about movies. And Jim Ross got a shunt in his head. I guess he was attributing his lackluster performances to his head being waterlogged. I'm not sure. He was kind of like, I hope this kind of gets me back in the game, but I understand.
Well, did I hear that he has been in the hospital for 2 months after he fell? And
yeah, there was a lot of like hospital stints. It didn't look good. Our other buddy, Sean Oliver, talked to Kevin Nash about it. Kevin Nash shared a story from SummerSlam weekend where he was sitting with Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross, and he was like, can you believe we haven't eaten a bullet with how shitty our lives have been? But we're still here. We want to live.
How uplifting.
I guess Jim Ross was like, yeah, I'm getting a shunt put in my skull in a couple of weeks. That's how bad I want to live. But I also only bring that up to talk about you were sending me pictures of Sean Oliver, and I don't know what's going on with Sean Oliver. He's looking, I don't know what he's turning into.
He's having a crisis.
Some kind of GTA character or something. Pencil thin mustache, the colored glasses, the sweater around his shoulder, tied around his shoulders. Concerning stuff. He's turning into one of his characters. But the other thing I wanted to talk about before we get into Vince Russo's third and not final book. It's so clear he's going to, I don't know what he's going to write or when he'll write it. But I've never, this podcast has never felt more relevant than all the hubbub about David Shoemaker using AI to write the Hulk Hogan book.
Sorry. Is it
Are
a
you
thing?
Are you not familiar with this? Oh, baby. I can't wait to
I'm out of
enlighten you. David Shoemaker of TheRinger.com and what was he, the Masked Man on Deadspin, writing the
wrestling
obituaries?
historian.
Right. He wrote Why Hulk Hogan Matters, I believe is the title of the book. And it was published by HarperCollins. And people cracked into this thing and they said, this stinks. And then not only did they say this stinks, but then people were going, pretty sure it's written by, he used AI quite a bit. Part of the problem is, granted, it's a book about Hulk Hogan, but a lot of errors for this wrestling historian. Wasn't the greatest, by far the greatest. Wasn't a Tim Hornbaker by any means. But again, it being published by HarperCollins, people were kind of like, this is getting through, which I got to then jump in on the Workers Club account to jump into the fray and go, hey, we're experts on this. And guess what? Nobody cares about the editing. Nobody cares about the facts in these books. I'm sure, I promise you, HarperCollins wasn't combing through the book going, is this true? And I'm going to read to you. Mike Johnson of PW Torch jumped in.
Does he acknowledge this?
David Shoemaker? I have not seen that he has acknowledged this at all.
Okay.
Mike Johnson from wrote a review essentially, and again, seeing all these people come out and going, I mean, are wrestling books really that bad? They're pretty bad. This is great, Larry. While traveling last week, this is Mike Johnson. While traveling last week, I picked up the new book, Why Hulk Hogan Matters by David Shoemaker. In Charlotte, North Carolina. I intended to read it while relaxing on my trip. So he's got a little summer read, right? Mm-hmm. Within 2 hours, I tossed the book to the floor of my hotel room, and it remained there when I packed up my room in the Queen City and was abandoned there when I left to go back to New York City. I have no idea where the book will end up, but I assure you, as someone who has read countless pro wrestling books, it stands as one of the worst books ever printed about the subject.
Kind of want to read it now.
That's why I went in the Discord. I was like, maybe I should put this on the list. And then he goes into like, yeah, Hulk Hogan was a character, and yes, he was a liar, and you can make, there's definitely a book to be written about this guy who had his character kind of take over his real, as many wrestlers, his real life mind. And where does that start and where does that begin? But he's like, if you're talking about why Hulk Hogan matters to wrestling, facts matter, he says. Facts matter. And this book reads as a robotic review of Hogan's career. There are so many glaring factual errors here that I had to stop reading the book after the umpteenth time. I wondered who the hell proofread this, approved this, and allowed it to hit bookshelves in its current form. I'm sure all the Hogan aficionados out there remember Hogan losing the WWF title to Yokozuna in Japan in 1993. At King of the Ring, which was held in Ohio. The only time Hogan was in Japan that year was for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and no, he didn't wrestle Yokozuna there. This is the first of many errors listing incorrect events, years and ages for Hogan and others in the pro wrestling world. The worst and most frustrating error is a recounting of what is easily the most important and famous angle for Hulk Hogan ever. The Piper's Pit in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where Andre the Giant turned on him and challenged Hogan for the WWF title. In this version of the story, Andre ripped Hogan's shirt off, challenged him, and stood there and glared at him. Yeah, except that never happened. Andre turned and exited with Bobby Heenan. Hogan went down in disbelief as Roddy Piper, who never missed a chance to be over the top and bombastic, went the opposite route, quietly telling Hogan, "You're bleeding." since Andre had nicked the chest, ripping off the shirt and Hogan's crucifix necklace. There are more errors in the book than there were Hogan WrestleMania appearances, and that's excessively frustrating since this book carried a plug from former WWE creative head and $7 Productions executive Brian Gewirtz.
Oh, no.
Promising that this book redefines what a pro wrestling book can be.
Wow.
Well, that might have been true for McFoley's first autobiography, but the only thing this book may redefine is the level of resentment those who purchase it may discover, yours truly included.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Writers make errors all the time, myself included, which he does, because then later in the article, he writes Brian with a Y, even though he'd been spelling it with the IA, like, correctly. Writers make errors all the time, myself included. But when a book of this nature is promoted and published, it's not promoted towards diehard militant wrestling fans who live for every TV episode and independent show, but the general public. By putting this mess in the hands of that audience, it reiterates that pro wrestling is a joke and shouldn't be taken seriously.
Let's go.
I mean, yes. And after all, if the author who was paid to write this didn't care about the subject matter being correct, and the publishing house didn't care about the subject matter being correct, why should the readers? Cut to you and I and Gus going, why are we doing this? What do we do? Nobody cares about this. What do we care? As much Hulk Hogan's autobiographies were overpacked with whoppers that don't hold up to scrutiny, it appears Shoemaker's attempt to show why Hogan mattered was to match Hogan with more stories that don't hold up to scrutiny when you give them even the most pedestrian fact check. Again, when this is someone promoted and put on a pedestal as if he's the wrestling expert on WWE A&E documentaries and Ringer.com articles, Houston, we have a problem, brother. Mike. And then he goes in, the idea that a book about Hogan's life could be written, turned around, published, and shipped to bookstores within a year of his passing seemed like it'd be a hardship to put together. But it appears that they bypassed a lot of the issues by just bypassing all the facts in the writing process, the editing process, and beyond. It makes you wonder how many other books published out there are just ignoring the same basic process. Well, let me tell you, Mike, we know a lot of these books are self-published, and then if they're not, they're being published by an independent publisher who do not care. They don't care. We've had books with editors listed, and they're not edited. They're not edited. They have error. They have error. Like, they're not edited. It's just listing because that's the guy's job at the publishing house. Is like, I'm one of the editors. So yes, this book was technically assigned to me. Do you think that they're picking the pro wrestling book out of all the books they got to go through, and they're going, I got to really nail this one down? Call the guy back, and you're calling Mike Holmes is calling Vince Russo and be like, you sure about this? You sure
He's
about
calling,
this?
Mike Rotundo. Is it Rotundo or Rotunda?
Rotunda.
I need to know. Get back to me.
Yeah. Yes. You wrote here, K-A-Y or K-A-Y-E. I know he was an executive at Spike, that kind of thing. I'll get back to the legal department. Let's see. One almost wonders if it was jammed through an AI program and sent for publishing. Let's say, let's hope the payday involved was worth burning whatever Hogan fans and casual readers ended up worked here. And that the scorched earth left behind by this book doesn't prevent far more passionate authors and writers from getting their own deserved chance at a book published at this level. Avoid at all costs. Brian Gewirtz may have endorsed this book, but I suspect that was sight unseen. And I advise you to go read his memoir instead.
Wow.
No, Mike. We did read that book, and it's not good either. And then he said, hey, Guy Evans is planning to write a trilogy on Hulk Hogan. And in that book, he will, given the Nitro book, he says facts will matter. So there you go. Go ahead. Oh, what are you eating there, Larry? You're muted.
Sorry, I'm almost done.
No, is it a taco? A burrito?
Cinnamon rolls.
Oh, cinnamon rolls. Yum. But Warren Hayes, fan of the show, friend of the show, he has an English degree, and he went to, and he posted quite a bit about it, where he David, not friend of the show, David Bixenspan posted an excerpt of it, and but Warren Hayes was using it to point out, like, this is why people think it's AI, like the kind of rule of three that AI uses, where in this particular excerpt it will say, like, where did it say? The match was brief, one-sided, and designed to put the belt, like, it's always like this push was short, strange, and symbolic. There's repeated things of that, like, in succession. Every paragraph begins with a thesis statement, and then it's to support, like, the initial statement. There's a lot of dashes in that just one little excerpt that Bixenspan posts, which is an AI thing to do the dash. Disrupted his push, overrode the creative. A match that should have been a climax instead felt like a quiet concession. Just there, it doesn't read like a human wrote it to people, like, or at least Shoemaker. So there you go. I found great joy in that. We've covered Hogan and just also all the bad books. It seemed odd seeing all this social media reaction to being like, wrestling books are bad. Yes. I mean, I still see every once in a while somebody will post about, like, a Mick Foley book or the Brett book on Reddit, and people just have what it is. They have fond memories from reading it when they were young, and they've never revisited it. And when they do, they're like, "Ooh,
a book by a real journalist." Sex, Lies, and Headlocks.
Yeah. Let's get in.
It's a great book.
We should read it. We should read. But what we're doing is we're reading Vince Russo about the rise and fall of TNA, Total Nonstop Agony. And he's an interesting character these days since we started reading Vince Russo books, because now he's almost like endeared by the fandom a little bit because of the JCW thing. People kind of give him a pass, like, that's old Vince Russo. It's he's got that Crash TV thing. It's funny.
Yeah, it's become camp.
Yes, he's become camp. I think he's embracing the camp a little bit. He's had Tony Khan on his show. He gets to rail against WWE because they kicked him off WWE or Sirius Radio. What I didn't know is that he'd been planning this book since 2014, at least, when he got tossed off. Is that around the time they were doing The Secret? Oh, he's working for them secretly, and then it all blew up.
Yeah.
He posted to his pyroandballyhoo.com site when he was trying to explain his end of it about why it wasn't in secret, and then John was it Gabruk? What was it again? Big John Gaburik had known about it, and he should have told people, or da. But he wrote during this Pyro and Ballyhoo screed, he wrote, I'm now going forward. My focus, because this is 2014, I'm going forward. My focus becomes 100% on my website, pyroandballyhoo.com. And those who choose to go along with me on my journey. In addition to that, there are a couple of projects I'm currently working on and just wanted to share with you briefly. I'm in talks to further develop a script that my son Will and I wrote about a year ago called Belle of the Brawl. The premise of the show involves a fictional wrestling company owned and operated by a woman. I wonder if that was going to be Dixie. You think that was going to be Dixie? Also, I plan on writing the third installment of my wrestling trilogy series that will go into detail concerning my 10-year run with TNA from start to finish. The title of the book is Total Nonstop Agony.
Wow.
And the plans are to release it digitally through pyroandballyhoo.com. So this is a step up. He sat on it. He waited for his moment to strike. I don't know.
Now, I went to pyroandballyhoo.com. I remember because I had just gotten back into wrestling because the network came out.
And you were like, what's Russo up to?
Yeah, sure. And, you know, he wanted it to be like a Grantland site. It was pop culture articles, sports articles. Yeah.
Wow. I can't wait to get into that stuff.
Yeah. The one little writing bugaboo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was churning out a lot of articles a week. He was doing a lot of it himself.
Mm-hmm.
He had other guys, but whenever he would write Granted, he would write Grant It.
Oh no. Grant It.
Over and over again.
Oh no. That's very okay. So I was just telling you earlier in the week, we were texting, and I was telling you about I was listening to some people talk about Moby Dick, and they were talking about how Herman Melville was like an example of one of the first early examples of a writer coming from nothing, a common person, and showing the world that common people have something to say, that they have something to contribute through their experiences. You know, Melville had worked on whaling ships and stuff like that, and having thoughts on a variety of things and society. And it's bad because, you know, this podcast is where my brain, but I was like, and especially since I was reading this book at the time, thinking Vince Russo is the counterpoint to maybe we shouldn't let people of a low bearing write a book and be like, I have things to say. I have something to put down. It's the amount of times in this book where he's like, I'm just early on where he's like, I'm blue collar. It's like, are you blue collar? I've never considered Vince Russo blue collar.
He's never worked very hard. He's always failed in his business ventures.
When it gets a little sticky, that's when he tends to cut loose and goes home to Amy and goes, I can't do this anymore.
Wasn't he a salesman at the appliance store?
He was, he worked for his dad, and he did not like the given job. And then, yes, he sold encyclopedia. I think you're right. Did he work in an appliance store too? He didn't like that.
He got his parents to buy the video store.
He did the video store. Yeah. What was that called? Something Willie's?
Will the Thrill.
Will the Thrill. That's right. Will the Thrill video. Yep. And then, boy, look, I'm getting ahead of myself. I texted you about when I was reading about his future business. I was wheezing with laughter with like, it was so comical what was happening to this. And I'm sure from his point of view, it's very sad and tragic, but it's just all the things we've run into where it was like, I mean, I guess we'll just have to, I don't want to spoil it, but it was just like, why are you doing it this way? Why would this be how you approach it? And of course, it's not really his fault. It's something else, you know, it's outside forces always kind of taking Vince Russo down. But this book is about, it's about that, all of his business ventures, outside of after TNA, like the wilderness years of Vince Russo, when he wasn't involved in wrestling, and then it also, of course, covers his whatever the end of his TNA run, and then like him coming back, I guess secretly.
We'll see what he says.
And it also seems to be, as you pointed out to me, it seems to be like Eric Bischoff has been doing podcasts. And Vince Russo would like to correct the narrative about Eric Bischoff.
That's what all this feels like, yeah.
Which I have Eric Bischoff called me and left a message about it, and he has his counterpoint to Vince Russo.
Okay.
Vince Russo, yes, Russo, you are so full of shit.
Turn it up.
You don't even know which end is up. You can't find your ass with both hands because you're blinded by the compacted feces that fills your fucking brain. Get help. Jeez. And this, bro, fuck you and your bro. You delusional piece of shit.
Wow.
Was that AI?
No, that's real. That's from Conrad Thompson being like, "What'd you think about that Vince Russo interview?"
You went into another voice there.
And Eric Bischoff, again, I was laughing very much so. And look, hey, I have a little intro set up for this. I put a little stuff in there. I think you should check it out later when it drops. Put the Eric thing in there at a better volume because I wasn't prepared. I forgot to put the volume up on that. I found, did you know Bubba the Love Sponge interviewed Vince Russo?
I did not know that.
I'm going to split it. If you've already listened, if you started this episode, you've already heard this. I can't wait. I want to also, man, the clip of just Eric Bischoff saying, you delusional piece of shit. But there's some Bubba here. Listen to this Bubba here.
Bro, I'll never forget, man. He looked me in the eye and he says, Vince, I don't know what the problem is. You're making enough money now. You're making enough money now. Just hire a nanny to take care of your kids.
Oh.
And bro, you say that to a proud New York Italian, bro. When those words came out,
who already has a reputation of being a cocksucker, Dick.
I just like that Bubba calls him a cocksucker. By the way, after that, Vince Russo has to take a beat to be like, "Did you just call me a cocksucker?" When you say that to a proud New Yorker, and then Bubba cuts in, who already has a reputation for being a cocksucker, Dick, and then goes.
I don't even know what Bubba's implying.
He goes on to explain that
this is 98.
Vince had a when he knew Vince Russo in the wrestling business, that Vince Russo was a no-nonsense person with a reputation of being a cocksucker. Which Russo's like, sure, gotta go along. And that you cannot say something like that to somebody that will stand tall as a cocksucker Dick. But I do just enjoy him cutting him off to drop that, and then he does a little Bubba grunt at the end. Already has a reputation as a cocksucker Dick. Good stuff. And also the he told me to get a nanny, bro. But
so wait, was Bubba just adversarial to him the whole time?
A little bit. I'll send you the link for sure. Because at one point, Bubba keeps making fun of that Vince Russo's a podcaster.
Okay.
It was a lot where I was like, just calm yourself. Don't clip the whole. Don't play the whole thing. And he keeps calling himself a real radio. Bubba keeps calling himself a real radio man. Now you're talking to a real radio man. How's that feel? And he's talking to him, and he's talking about like his past, and he's going, you didn't expect me to ask that. I know you're talking to a real radio guy. I know what I'm talking about. And then Vince has to slap back with like, well, then let's talk about David Arquette then, bro, and we'll see. Like Vince has like triggers that he's waiting for somebody to ask him about. And Bubba, of course, goes, no, I like that. You're getting eyes on the product. It's good. It's good. What did he say? He harangues Vince Russo for not getting close to his microphone. You're dealing with a real radio guy here. You got to go close on the microphone there, Vince. I don't know why you're so far away.
You go into Beetlejuice territory a little bit.
And then Vince is going, he's kind of laughing. I get loud, bro. I get heated. All right.
What wonderful people.
let's get into it. This book, out of the gate, Vince he's going to set it up like he has before, where it's like, this is for his two sweet little angels, his grandchildren. So they know what what kind of man he was, what he stood for. So already we got the baseline there. So that inevitably, if it turns into weirdness, as it has often in his last two books, where we wonder, isn't his family reading this? He wants his grandchildren to read this. He wants them to see this, whatever is about to unfold. And again, Vince Russo, you can't hate him because he loves his family. Okay? He loves them. They're the most important thing in the world. And then he adds an author's note, which is you have to read, or it's recommended that you should read his two other books just to get the complete arc of Vince Russo. Read Forgiven, then Rope Opera, and then this, and you will understand him as a man. And I think I agree. I don't know if he thinks I understand Vince. I'm like an expert, I feel like, on Vince Russo and what makes them operate. And we're gonna have a lot of chapters, a lot of one-page chapters. There's like 100 chapters in this thing for a book that's like 250 pages. It's gonna be like maybe 5 episodes, maybe. Chapter 1, Hogan, you big bald son of a bitch. And he's thinking about Michael Holmes, his editor, which I think we've called out before, Michael Holmes, for publishing the previous other books from ECW Press, and going, well, this isn't edited. Is Michael Holmes responsible for this?
Well, listen, if his Pyro Bounty was any example of him just uploading shit as it comes off his fingers, maybe this is edited.
I have an exact problem with it. I know it's not edited, and I know exactly why it's not. Michael Holmes, he has given Vince advice at some point where he's like, you got to start the book off hot, baby. Okay. Invest the reader, grab the reader right away. So, Russo in the beginning here is going, how do I do that? Well, how about this warmed over shit you've already heard and read about? Hogan, you big bald son of a bitch. Remember that from Bash at the Beach? I did, by the way, note this. We're on page 11. Okay. Only Vince Russo would count all the unnumbered pages that have just the fly pages, the author's note. I only bring that up because he doesn't realize that there's pages later, and he says what page he's on, and it's off. Because
great.
And this is all the big takeaway from this chapter as he goes back through that promo that had Hogan sue him. He's doing this song and dance throughout the whole thing where he's like, I'm real and everything I say is real, but that was a work, but people think it's a shoot, and it is, but it's also not. It's all kind of wrapped in this, like, because I was sued, so technically it's fake, but also it is real. But I never said Terry Bollea. He's like, okay, all right. I know you were sued, and you have to keep up with the I'm real thing, but he just thinks that maybe Hogan was mad at him because he went into business for himself. That might have that triggered it, that he was that Hogan thought other people thought it was real. That's what made Hogan mad. Millions of people actually believe that Vince Russo put Hulk Hogan in his place. That's a tough blow to Hulk's ego. This
is so much less significant than he thinks it is.
Yes.
No one was watching at that time.
Right. Absolutely. It does live large in his mind. Probably because he got sued. he goes on to he thinks also that a lot of people think he's the guy on TV. Now, you have to remember that Vince Russo will tell you ad nauseum that to be a good TV, you have to be yourself on TV, and that's what he wants. He wants things to be real. He wants to be you, but turned up, whatever the case is. But then also, that's not him at all. There's a separate thing. But also, people watching think him on TV. Again, keep in mind, I'll probably hit this note a million times. He's been doing this fake character of his, the fake Vince Russo, since doing commercials that we watched, doing Vic Venom, promoting, the WWF magazine, where he's like, grab you by the Spaldings.
Wait, so you think he's doing a character now?
I think he's never done a character. I think that's just his persona that he kind of just clicks on. Like,
yeah.
He says he writes Spaldings, so how am I supposed to understand if it's who's real and who's not? If he's on a commercial being like, it'll grab you by the Spaldings, and then he's in the book as himself being like, I love the word Spaldings. I love using it. He thinks a lot of it is that people just hate New Yorkers. Is that true?
I don't think people care one way or the other.
So you disagree with what he writes here? New Yorkers represent the truth.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling is made up of liars, cheaters, con men, snake oil salesmen, and carny clowns. Nobody wants to hear the truth. Oh, I know. I had a huge note here. Okay, I understand what it happens here. This is the third book. And Vince in 2020, published in 2026, and Vince Russo writes, professional wrestling is a lie. It's all a lie. He thinks he's blackballed from the business that he spent 34 years in because he just was himself. He never sold out. He never kissed ass. And he's never been a tool for anybody. And I took umbrage with that. I was like, well, except for the time that he betrayed his co-worker, the DJ guy, and became a WF tool on the radio, and before he undermined his the management of WF magazine to move up there, and before he became a tool for Vince McMahon for the steroid trial, before he what is he talking about? He's never been a tool. He's always been a tool. He's always looking for like a move up. And I did have a note here about like, it's always with all these wrestling guys, it's always it's real, except if you don't like it, then you're a mark. It's actually you're being worked. Like they're slippery. You're never going to, oh, actually you didn't like. Well, then I guess I was working you. My critics love calling me a liar. They claim I lie about everything. True liars. They want to believe everybody's lying to justify their own lies. Isn't that what he spends the whole book doing? He's like, everyone's a liar but me. There's a lot of telling I found while I was reading this. I was like, Vince keeps telling on himself. Well, also, to be fair, Eric Bischoff is he's a liar. They're all liars. But Vince Russo has spent 3 books and going on every platform he can find. Interviews with Sean Oliver, interviews with anybody. Bubba loves anybody. Everyone just wants to get their version of the events out. As if anybody really cares or picks a side. Like,
I like Russo more than Bischoff.
You prefer him over Bischoff? Well, Bischoff is just I don't even know what to make of that guy. He seems empty.
He's a total con man. Yeah, this is all he wanted from the beginning, was just a quick way to make money. If you look at his story of his life, whereas Russo's got kind of an interesting. Hey, the guy from down the street,
he definitely
something wacky with his life.
He's definitely more wacky than Eric Bischoff.
The Eric Odyssey biography.
He's working in a CD warehouse at some point. He's very like Confederacy of Dunces, like Ignatius, right? Like floating through life. Which is the Eric Bischoff thing. It's so crazy to see him that, like, maybe I was being worked, but being that upset where he was like, he just, I don't know, something triggered him where he was just like, fuck this guy. Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Is he still selling those reverse mortgages over the phone?
Probably. God forbid he gets mad at you. It was about some meeting where Vince Russo cried because Eric at one point goes, and yeah, he did cry. And by the way, so again, he brings up that I wrote this every day I worked, and when I woke up, he wanted to look at all his wife and kids and all that. I wanted them to know that their husband and father was real. I can't even imagine waking up and looking at my family and being like, I'm real. I'm real.
No bullshit, real kids.
Like, the wrestling business has completely warped this man's like brain. Like, so chapter 2, why that? You know, he doesn't swear in his books anymore because of the God that starts in Forgiven of like the God stuff. And so he's like, why the bleep am I doing this? This being in chapter 2, it got me, like the Amy stuff out of the gate. I was like, oh no. I guess why is he doing this? It comes from his wife, Amy. She's been saying this since 1983. Vin, you do this to yourself. And he's like, she's right. I do this to myself. So why am I writing this book? He asks. Well, he goes, I planted the seed in Michael's head. He was trying to get somebody else's book published. He doesn't say who, just a friend. And he says he like out of nowhere blurts out, so when are we going to write the 3rd installment? And then he's like, he's out of body. We? Michael's not going to write this book. Why did I say that? And then he kind of talks about his brain not functioning right because of all the concussions. You ever listen to one of my podcasts? Yes. I've made him laugh on one of his podcasts. So you know what the deal was with Mr. 20? Was it Mr. 50s?
Oh yeah.
I was like, why is Mr. 50s? I think I also added that my mom doesn't like me watching it I'm in the basement watching. My mom's upset or something.
I forgot all about that fucking jerk off.
His little, Mr. 50s.
Didn't last long.
See? You got to put me in the match. See? He says, I did connect with Vince on this. Butchery is what I do to the English language. Then he goes, maybe you think I do it for the money. And he's like, and this is where he talks about the cabin that we've found the cabin, the Airbnb. That's his dream. He wants to disappear on his 65th birthday. We're past that, right? He's like 67 now, isn't he? Or is he 65?
Yeah, he's past that.
So he's not disappeared at all. He's still absolutely the tendrils of wrestling are firmly in the grasp. And he's renting that cabin out as an Airbnb to make money. But at this time when he was writing it, that's the goal, to make money to get that cabin. He says he's on Twitch, which I never knew. He was originally on Twitch early on.
I don't know.
Hustling for a buck. He just says he doesn't have any money. And nothing that he's doing is making any money. And he says he's a workaholic and that he learned that at Indiana State. And then he gives a list of all the things he was at one time, just to underline how much of a workaholic he is. in Indiana State. At one point, he was the editor of a student newspaper,
Not a job.
vice president of Sigma Tau Gamma,
Not a job.
PR director of the student union board.
Same.
This is a rough run. Projectionist for Dr. Blevins' film class. That's
What is that? An hour or two?
that
twice a
can't be
week?
yeah, that can't be demanding. Come on, what are we doing? That's not a responsibility. You have to roll the card in. Clerk at Movies to Go, and then salesman at Allied Sporting Goods. And then I wrote 7, trying to get the coach fired for possibly being racist. All those things. There's a lot of spinning plates there. He's, interviewing players, stoking racist anger. Vin, you do this to yourself. She's right, he writes. The wrestling business has left physical, mental, and emotional scars on me that will never heal. Never. Okay. Oh my God. And he writes, I hate it. I loathe it keep in mind, now we know at this point, this book has come out. He's in G. We need to check out JCW, but he's in it. He wants to show up on AEW. Like he's in it. And of course, maybe knowing what he's written in this book or whatever, he spends a lot of time when he posts about or writes about JCW being like, my love of wrestling has been reignited. This is why you do it. And it always, if I could just reach out to him and be like, Vince, it always curdles. It always curdles. Like, this. He loves wrestling to its core. Everything. He promises us everything will be left here in this book. He's going to lay it out all on the line, all of it. And we get into chapter 3, Stream of Consciousness. And he informs us that this book, its format will be String of Consciousness. Okay. He writes that his mother. Now, he calls her Fruity here. Did he not call her the Fruitinator in previous books?
Both, yeah.
Okay, both. She passed away from dementia. I also noted that he says this book is going to be written in a stream of consciousness style. Just this book, they're all written like that. The first book, Forgiven It, is kind of, he posits, well, it'll be like not saved Vince and then saved Vince. That's how he formats it. The next book, Rope Opera, it's just a deranged man's fever dream of like tangents. There's no like just whatever, there's could be a chapter devoted to is it Forgiven or Rope Opera where he's like, these are the women I'm horny for. I can't remember.
I think it's Rope Opera.
Yes. Okay, Rope Opera. The TV women that I'm bricked up for. So his mom had dementia, and he is certain that that's what he's going to have, to the point that he knows he can take a test to figure that out, and he won't, because he's so 100% locked in that he is going to have severe dementia. And then he enters into it, where it is that thing where it's like a different font, it's a different thing, and it's titled, just to let you know, now we're entering Vince Russo's Stream of Consciousness. Look, I made something, Larry. Told you I'm locked in for this. Look, Russo's Stream of Consciousness. You like that? Little stream? Yeah, that's nice. Whoop. You like that? At the end there. Vince Russo wants to know that I cannot deal with death. And he can't deal with loss. And he just goes into that, just that he can't, he had a hard time with his mother's death. And he does believe. He wants you to know that he believes that we're living in hell on earth, and that
Yeah, I was interested by that too.
yeah, and our paradise is waiting for us in a place much different from here.
I've never really heard about the hell on earth thing.
He believes, he's one of those, I guess, of the born again or the religious types that's like, this is all hell. Well, there's also the other hell, but this is also hell. And we're just kind of doing the best we can until we can get to the place with gold streets. But then this is why we don't like these books. He breaks out we go back to regular typeface. We're back into the actual book. We're out of the stream. How the hell did I just go down that path? What's happening? Stop, Russo, stop. Well, I know what you really want. Let's get back to the wrestling. And my question to you after that chapter is, why does Vince Russo insist on this format? Like, he's
lazy. I don't know.
it's this crutch, this addiction he has to, like, he can't even put words down and not go back later and be like, just to correct my own narrative, just to also couch anything that I might have written that might like, he always has to have like some kind of like, and one more thing, and it's like, just let it lie, it's okay. But then some of them, it's just like, this could be its own chat, or in the chapter, it has nothing. He writes that because of the dementia, he is afraid that he's going to forget it. And that's why it has to go in when it's going in at that moment. But that's why you write. That's fine. Write that. That's called a first draft. Then you go back and you can organize it and make it all flow and take things and and then you can send it. And then there's the editor, right? And he's looking at these drafts too, supposedly, allegedly. And isn't some editor at some point go, what is this like stuff that completely breaks? Like, why don't we just get this all going? That's why I feel like he just hands it in and he's like, yeah, it's my stream of consciousness. It's all part of the thing. You can't change it. It's got to be like this.
Yeah, I think he hands it in.
They go, thank you, Vince.
Fully laid out. They're just printing it.
Let's see. Oh, chapter 4, where rope opera left off.
Can we take a break before 4?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I gotta take my garbage out.
Hey, while Larry's gone, I'm back. I'm gonna play it. Because it's making me laugh so hard. So I'm gonna do it.
That Vince Russo, yes, Russo, you are so full of shit. You don't even know which end is up. You can't find your ass with both hands because you're blinded by the compacted feces that fills your fucking brain. Get help. Jeez. And this, bro, fuck you and your bro. You delusional piece of shit.
Bro, I'll never forget, man. He looked me in the eye and he says, Vince, I don't know what the problem is. You're making enough money now. Just hire a nanny to take care of your kids.
Oh.
And bro, you say that to a proud New York Italian, bro. When those words came out,
who already has a reputation of being a cocksucker, Dick.
Oh, I mean, might as well. Let's do the rest of them, right? Let's do the rest of them. Larry's gone. We can play. Let's do the rest of our. Remember this?
I'm a gentleman. Nanny. Oh my God, guys! I don't want to get any of this heat. Oh, hey, nanny. Don't want to get any of this heat.
All right. Thank God you said you watched this TNA, this era.
No, but I know about it.
Okay. Because I did not. I was completely. Other than I knew, the only thing I ever have known about TNA, I don't even think, honestly, because people will say, "Oh, go back and watch the Samoa Joe stuff or the Kurt Angle stuff." Maybe the only full match I've ever seen is the Jeff Hardy Sting match. I don't even think I've ever watched a full TNA match all the way through.
Well, I'll say early, it was what, like January 10 when they went head to head, and when Hogan and Bischoff came in. Brett came back that night.
Yeah, I don't think I was watching then. Yeah.
So I watched for the next few months, or just followed. I wouldn't even say watched.
Yeah.
But I was also on the board. So I never watched a full TNA episode in my life. But I got it through there, you know.
Yeah. I feel like, I was aware that there was somebody trying to do like of course, in my brain, I was like, oh, someone's trying to do like a WCW. So it was trying to do like a competition. Well, we're about to get into it. Where Rope Opera left off. This kills me. Vince Russo has written 3 memoirs about himself. That's crazy. That's crazy to have written 3 memoirs about your life. Your life is that, and there's not very many stories in it, really. It's just like one man's descent into madness, like tracked. But I only say that because he couldn't remember, like it's his own life, and he can't remember where he left Rope Opera. Like, what did I even say in that book? Because he couldn't remember if he even talked about TNA. Which, by the way, the cover is him in TNA.
That's
with
true.
Sting and Mick, and he goes, it turns out I did extensively. And he asked himself, well, should I even be writing this book? Do I even have anything more to say? And he says, yes, I do. And, he's talking about, so Eric, he says that when we last left him in Rope Opera, Eric is about to come in and he's doing like, I can work with Hulk Hogan again. I can do this. It might be good. I think if I'm remembering right, he's like optimistic about Eric Bischoff because he'd had this whole thing in WCW with him where he couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
And he says that he had no way of knowing that Eric and Hulk Hogan coming into TNA would end his 10-year run there at TNA. And then he goes, wait a minute, that's a lie. That's bullshit. Deep down, I must have known. This is a very Vince Russo sentence. Now, let's make one thing clear from the jump. Parentheses. I don't know why. I just love that phrase. In parentheses. From the jump? Okay. And he says, I'm not going to bury Eric. He's not going to do this. This is all set up, by the way. We're being worked by Russo. This is all set up. I'm not going to bury Eric Bischoff in this book. He also all of a sudden goes, so he goes, he's just not like when he's writing this, he's at the point in his life where that's just not healthy for him. And he believes also that God is completely in control. Every day, every minute, every second is determined before you were spit out of the womb, he writes.
He's a predestination guy.
I know, Larry, I literally wrote, whoa. Vince Russo, fatalism and determinism. My goodness. I thought, isn't it like a big thing of God, free will, that he gave us free will? Why is he so, what's this take where he's like,
I mean, I've heard it before. I mean, but it's not really recently. I feel like the Middle Ages, we kind of had it out with that idea.
do we want to pay the $150 to talk to, I'm sure it's higher now with JCW, but do we want to pay the money just to be like, if God tells somebody to kill somebody And then if God said, like, to do some kind of weird debate with him, like just
It
to
works
see.
in mysterious ways.
Bro, these are bigger questions than I can handle. Him out of nowhere going, every decision you make is predetermined. You have no free will. And that you have to accept it, and then you can just understand and accept your circumstances. I guess is he maybe really shoddily trying to say the kind of like the Cool Hand Luke thing of like, I'm just the way God made me. So not so much that he.
No, that's not what it means, really.
I know. I'm trying to get into his dumb brain where he's trying to say like, look, I'm the way I am, and the things I do is because of God. Like. I can only make the choices I make because that's how God made me. But then in his like dumb brain, it comes out into like everything is predetermined. I mean, he does say that it is determined, but I'm trying to like square. Why am I trying to do this with Vince Russo? Why am I trying? He just wants to reiterate that he never liked Eric Bischoff. Not one time. And then he talks about how Eric Bischoff and James Cornette are what he would call lifers, and that there is no real person there, right? They're characters, they're personas. There's no real person there. They outside of wrestling, in wrestling, they're in the wrestling bubble. It's all shtick, he says. And if that makes them happy, great, he writes. My wrestling persona died the day I left the microphone behind in the ring. Today I am for real. As he shouts at his family in the house. Which is just a very funny thing for Vince Russo to write. Like, I am not a caricature, just to be clear. I am the real one. So he meets with, in the next chapter, he meets with, this is going to be his first meeting with Hulk Hogan after Bash at the Beach, which is also, this is, that they are now officially coming into TNA, and they're meeting to, I don't know, squash whatever issues they might have had from the lawsuit. Russo does the thing of like, I don't remember the specifics, and I'm just not going to make up some story just to tell to give you something good. That's a Bruce Pritchard move, which is like a shot fired there.
Yep.
He remember. We've seen in his other books where he'll say like, I remember this meeting very vividly, and he'll like have these, and then other things that he doesn't want to talk about. I couldn't tell you. Just that's how my brain works now. Concussions on that. He talks about the fictitious wrestling promo, and this is where he goes, well, we all know it was a fake promo, and that it wasn't slander because I never called him Terry Bollea. So he meets with them, and he tells them about Dixie Carter, that she's not great at the business money side of things. He talks a little bit about the TNA money woes, where he says that Lisa Marie Vaughan, Lisa Marie Vaughan. Is it Vaughan or is it Vaughn?
Why would you think that's Vaughn?
Lisa Marie Vaughan? I don't know. Who's Lisa Marie Vaughan? Is that like some like is that like an adult film star that's like slipping into my brain or something like that?
I have no idea.
It's Vaughan.
Yeah, I don't know how you say it, but yeah.
Okay. Tara's Tarantula. They had to stop using it because we couldn't afford to pay its handler a couple $100 a month. Dixie's biggest flaw is her confidence. Jeff Jarrett would make her feel stupid. The long history of right-hand men that would come into the employ of TNA. He wrote Jeff to JR. JR That's Jim Ross. No, different JR. He just writes JR.
Yeah, I mean, JR was never there. He talked.
I have no who.
But...
I have no. Oh, I have no idea who JR is, but he just writes Jeff to JR.
Yeah.
Who's JR? Colin. Who's JR? Because then he writes. I was flipping through and later. He's like, when you talk to JR, he's no nonsense. He's going to shoot you straight. And I was like, but this isn't Jim Ross. This isn't Jim Ross. This is another no nonsense.
I have no idea
shooter.
who would be between Jeff Jarrett and Eric Bischoff.
Jeff to JR. Does he mean like Jeremy? Is there like lowercase b, Borash, JR?
I don't know.
Jeff to JR, Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan, Bruce Pritchard, John Gaburik. Hey, look, I see. It'll click. Eventually, I'll be like, that's how you say the name. He has to say, by the way, he has nothing but unkind to say about Dixie. Okay, it's a very just by the way, I like that person. Dixie wasn't a wrestling mark like Tony Khan. This was written at a time when Vince Russo was not being friendly with Tony Khan because of what Tony Khan had. This again is Vince Russo writing all this stuff from like things he's hearing on other podcasts. Yeah. Tony Khan had made some remarks, so now Tony Khan is on his shit list. And he didn't. What's funny is he says Dixie wasn't a money mark either, and it's like she was exactly that, because you're saying that she was overspending on things that she couldn't afford, listening to wrestlers and going, okay, I'll do that. Sure, I'll sign that person. Yeah, that's exactly what Tony Khan doesn't do. And then he does a thing that he's done in all of his books, where he's like, let me psychoanalyze the Carter family. Now, Dixie is the daughter of Bob Carter. Imagine the weight of being Dixie Carter, being the daughter to the successful businessman. And she's got another brother that she competes with. Maybe this whole TNA thing was a way to prove to her father that she was worthy of his attention. These are like, he's talking about like really grown adults at this point.
Yes.
And he's like, and he does the thing where he's like, I see it all the time, Shane. It's like, yes, you do this, where you go to like this second generation or third generation wrestler or person in wrestling and go, I can't imagine what it's like to be you with all that pressure. It's weird. It's a weird hang up he has with like children of like, what is it?
I don't know where that comes from.
And he acts, because he does a thing where he's like, wouldn't be me. And it's like, well, your dad did get you a job. You would have been they would have known you as his kid if you'd stuck around.
He bought a company for him and lost his retirement.
Yes. And I think Vince has siblings. He has a sister. I think he's written about her or something like that. No one's ever walked up to Vince and been like, what's it like being what's the pressure like being, what's his dad's name even? I don't even know.
Jimmy, right?
Jimmy? Yeah, it might be, because the grandfather was like Jimmy something, wasn't it? Yeah. My dad to this day accepts me for who I am. I guess. Yeah, he does. His parents are very like they just rolled with whatever. Like, oh, this is Vince's new adventure. Here we all go. So, stream of consciousness. Back to the death thing. And this is because he's just seen, whenever he's writing this, that Kevin Sullivan has passed. And he's thinking about WCW. And I just enjoyed this, where he's thinking about J.J. Dillon. He's thinking about when he yelled at him in the offices of Smyrna. Mm. But he wrote, when I cut that hellacious promo, standing in the wooden door frame of the Smyrna office, and I just, a wooden door frame. Thank you. I like that. He's talking about, at this point in when Vince is writing this, Dark Side of the Ring is going. So he's really high on that supply of like the producers at Darkside like me a lot, probably because I'm one of the truthful ones. This guy doesn't see them like release like the like we're like the we're gonna get Jim Cornette and we're gonna have a whole episode where you guys are yelling at each other like in separate locations and not go, oh well, they're getting their material and editing it as they play. Like he's like they must think it. He almost sounds, he sounds like Dave Meltzer, because Dave Meltzer has been like, well, they need somebody as the truth teller on their thing, so that's when they ring me up to sit down.
That is kind of his thing.
I know.
Russo is in the story. Dave's not in the story.
It's funny though that Vince is like, I'm their truth guy.
Yeah.
So what does he think when Dave Meltzer would do? He goes, oh, they got this guy. What they want to call him about the Daffney thing, Daffney episode.
Well, hang on. He's talking about Kevin Sullivan because he died.
He is talking about that, but then that moves into Daffney because he goes just days. This is how he segues. Just days after his death, Dave Hodgson, the producer over at Dark Side of the Ring, calls. And they want to interview him about Daffney. And he writes, Shannon Spruill was an angel, capital A. Just the sight of her, this is also a common Russo thing, sight of her would put a smile on my face. He talks about that in TNA, she suffered severe head trauma in a match with Raven and Abyss. And that he had, if he had known about it, he would have told her not to do anything dangerous. And when she got to the back, he was yelling at her for putting herself in such a dangerous position. He said that and then he kind of like does the thing where he's like, and that would happen. Like people would lay out their matches to me, and if there's anything dangerous in it, I'd say, don't do that. This started to feel like a little bit of like, so that the Owen thing definitely couldn't, because if he would have come to me, I've never ever I've always told anybody, don't do anything dangerous. That's why you see all this stuff, that all these matches that have happened under my watch have been so not dangerous. And if it was, they didn't tell me about it. He's wondering why didn't she come and tell him about this stuff? Well, because, if you say no to something, they'll think you're weak. Hold on, I gotta pause real quick. Okay. So, and he talks about, if you're a female, it goes double because you don't want to say no to things. And she's like, well, you know what? That might have just cost her life, not saying no to things. And he talks about a phone call he had with Daffney where it's 3 months before she died. And she wanted to talk about something, as he puts it, one thing that hurt her all these years. One thing that hurt her, scared her deeply. Scared. Does he mean scarred? He writes scared. Page 28.
Yeah, I don't. Who knows?
And it's a storyline that he had written. It's not even a storyline. She had a match in TNA. It's, of course, somebody's got to strip down to their bra and panties. He says Daffney was the baby face, and the one, he said the favorite, I'm guessing the one that was being pushed, or, if there's a baby face or the whatever. But his big swerve is, well, then everyone thinks she's going to win this. She's actually going to lose it. And then she's going to strip down, and she's going to have on granny panties, and she's going to be like, ha ha, it's a big funny thing. I wore granny panties. Which means you thought that you would lose?
Listen, this is actually regarded as one of the better segments. It's actually kind of funny.
Can you pull it up? Can we watch it? I've
I
never
might be
seen
able
it.
to.
It'd be a surprise to the audience and a 100% comedy. He's thinking the crowd will be cheering her on while she does a burlesque type striptease, theatrically removing layers of her clothing till she was down to her granny panties. She finished explaining what had happened. He said, I reminded her that was my idea, and it was comedy. But she said that segment had really bothered her and stayed with her throughout the years. And he goes into that, well, why didn't she say something? We wouldn't have done it then. And I was like, you just explained, like for paragraphs, why somebody would say yes to something.
All right, I got it.
All right, let's do it. Let's watch this thing. I don't understand. This is a well-remembered TNA segment. Daffney
Because
stripping.
the performers involved make it good.
Okay. Who's the other gal?
It's a 4-way match. It's a lockbox match. So inside of each box, it's like Deal or No Deal.
Okay. Lockbox.
Is like a title shot, something, or you got to do something else.
Poison back. There's that open contract as well as having to perform a strip tease.
So is that Angelina Love?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
There's the contract for the title, the tarantula, the title, or a strip tease.
Okay.
Up next on Impact, Mr. Anderson and Kurt Angle.
There's a lot of moving parts to this match.
Tonight we are going to find out as determined earlier tonight.
And then
Daffney.
Okay, so they've switched the boxes around because the striptease was at the other end.
Yes.
Tara.
And then if your key works, that's the idea.
I don't even know.
Tonight, the lives of these four ladies are about to change right before our very own eyes.
Their lives are about to change.
Now, it's time to find out what's inside.
One's going to win the title.
For the lockbox showdown. Bring down the lights.
Bring down the lights.
Ladies, these items
Vince
have
and
been
Ed were up all
strategically in
night
these
trying to
boxes
figure this
completely
out.
at random.
Yeah.
We don't know the contents of these boxes. We're going to find out right now. Velvet Sky, you are up first.
I'd hate myself if I was watching this at this time.
That there may be a Knockouts Championship title belt inside this box. There may be a contract. There may be
And this is Jeremy Borash.
a tarantula.
Right?
It's hard for me to believe that Borash is problematic.
There may be
I know, right? Well, now he's down to... Who knows what he's doing down to Mexico now? Booking the territory. Keeping his head down. With The Undertaker, sitting in a room with The Undertaker. Figuring out Dom's push.
Velvet Sky.
All right.
Open up your lockbox, please. Open the box.
There's Taz.
An open contract. Any opponent.
So she gets an open contract. Okay. The title's going to change hands if somebody opens up and they just have the title.
Yep.
Tara, this is kind of a bittersweet moment because you have a lot on the line. Obviously, your Knockouts Championship in one of these boxes. Your prized possession.
What was the match about then?
However,
if they all get
I don't
remember.
I don't know why she was holding
something you've never done in your career, something that goes completely against.
She gets to pick last, or maybe she gets this like switch.
And that is performing a striptease live tonight in this ring. Knowing what's at stake, Tara, are you ready?
Go ahead.
I'm ready.
Unlock that
You
box.
have box number 2. Please put the key in. Let's find out the contents of the lockbox. Poison's coming home. Your tarantula inside.
She gets her spider back.
However, unfortunately,
She cares more about the
that
tarantula
means
than
you are no longer the Knockouts champion.
Yeah, so I guess they
the
hadn't
title.
stopped using it yet.
Yeah, this is the one that had to cut.
Angelina Love.
Yeah, she's realizing that she doesn't have the title anymore.
Yeah.
She just lost the
Well,
title.
here tonight, one of you will become the new Knockouts champion, and one of you will have to go immediately to the ring and entertain our fans in attendance here tonight. Daffney, are you ready? I'll take that as a yes. Angelina Love, are you ready?
This was around the time when Dave wrote that creepy missive in The Observer
I don't know.
about how Daphne was super over because she was attainable.
One of you will be the new champion. One of you will go to the ring immediately. Let's open up the lock boxes.
Seth Rollins would have not have liked that.
Find that issue.
Angelina Love is the new TNA Knockouts champion of the world. Congratulations.
That's why you watch wrestling, to see people open up boxes and take out a title. And yeah,
And
Tara's doing a horrible job. She just like can't believe that she just
you
lost.
must now go down
Well,
to the
she's
ring
crazy.
and perform
Tara,
a
the tarantula.
Yeah.
Tara?
tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, she is crazy. Oh, I don't know. Oh,
You must do
Daphne.
this.
No, you got.
You
Oh, you
signed
must.
the deal.
What a
You
thing! Oh my
agreed to this.
God! What a
Not
thing!
informed by TNA
To grab a
management
woman by the
that
wrist and
this
be like, "No, you
doesn't
must.
happen.
You must
will
do
be
this.
fired on the
You,
spot.
you're gonna get fired or
must
you
now go to
strip
the ring
right now."
and perform a strip tease. Hit the music, my
This is
son.
Vince Russo in his own little world, as he used to write in those books.
It was a joke.
Amy, what are you? You're in your own little world. The woman has to go down and strip or she's fired.
She really has her heart in it, does it?
Okay. Is it St. Patrick's Day? Why is she dressed like this?
He's not.
Oh. I thought it was a St. Patrick's themed like outfit or something for like it's March or something.
He's Johnny Depp in Willy Wonka.
Master of Mischief. He's back. He's Ebenezer Scrooge. Okay.
That is the definition of zombie hot.
This announcing. Terrible. Zombie hot.
Alrighty then.
Already? Sounds like he's on our podcast right now. Alrighty then. Okay.
Where was that from again?
All right.
Mhm.
This is at Universal Studios.
Yep. For free to get in. You're in the park.
Hey kids, let's go see the wrestling. Imagine you end up here with your kids and a goth girl is starting to strip down for her job. This isn't like it used to be when I was a kid.
No, it's a great deltoid. She's got some. She's got like a scar or something. I don't know what she's got going on.
I think Taz misses this kind of wrestling.
You don't think that's kind of what he's calling sometimes?
He's sitting at AEW and he's like,
Run in.
hey, who's this?
Oh, hit her with the ugly stick.
Lacey Von
Who-
Erich coming out
oh,
with the
Lacey
ugly
Von
stick
Erich.
and taking out Daffney and
Okay, so she's beaten Daphne, assaulted her so that she can strip in front of everyone.
you could just get Lacey Von
But
Erich
she's,
to come
you know,
out there.
poor.
I don't understand this.
Well, she's part of the beautiful people. You
Well,
don't
okay,
understand?
but why is she insisting upon stripping in front of everyone?
She likes doing it. She's a ditzy sort of character.
Oh, Vince Russo character. She's a harlot. She thinks she's better than everybody. Now these people have decided to fight at the top.
The fact that she's oblivious in the ring is kind of the charm of it, right? She doesn't even care.
Yeah, she's just gonna keep stripping.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, where does the granny panties come into it?
Yeah, we never even got there. I don't know what Russo was talking about. Unless she said no, and he's just not framing it that way.
Yeah, that's odd.
Oh,
She's just standing. She's just under the.
Meanwhile, Tara fighting back. What an exchange this is with Angelina Love.
Lacey, darling, I've got to admit, You really turned up the heat tonight in the Impact Zone.
Is that Bubba's ex?
The rule number 1 of the Beautiful People Club. No beautiful
Club?
person upstages the other one.
So we should call ourselves.
Rule number 1.
Next week, I'm cashing in.
Okay, it's not as good as
My Money in the Bank.
in a sea of Russo bullshit. It's a small oasis.
He says that, she was, maybe she feared losing her spot. But that was the way it was back in the day. Not when I had the pencil for all those years. Nobody would ever lose their position. It's like, not even, it isn't about that. He knows that, right? It's not about that. They don't, if you start saying no all the time, he's just not going to write anything for it. He's not going to put you on the show or whatever.
Yeah.
When he even, I think, catches, well, now if I thought you were being oversensitive about something, I'd tell you.
But the writer would never hear that because, you don't even test him, right?
No.
The person in power wouldn't know that the person underneath him is just saying yes to go along with it.
No, yeah.
So Russo wouldn't know, You want to buddy up to him.
Well, no, all those people just like him. There's good guys like Mike Sanders, who he brings up. I think he goes, I think I was actually online when somebody smartened me up about Daffney doing a live stream while brandishing a gun. He says, can we find this clip? If he's online, is he streaming? What's he doing? He's on Twitch or something at this point. I went into panic mode and feverishly called her. I then went back online and told everyone that I could to send Daffney messages telling her how much they loved her and how important she was to them. And they did. And he went to bed. He's like, left it at a phone call, and he.
You know what's interesting, and I don't want to cast aspersions. This is probably
Sure.
a scandalous accusation, but he says he was trying to make a podcast with her.
Right. Yep.
Or develop a podcast.
Mhm.
You remember, he's the one who kind of brought China back to America,
Yeah.
filling her head with false promises of getting in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like starting the online missive to get to a gross kind of point to where maybe that wasn't helpful, Vince.
Yeah.
Maybe these people need to be as far away from wrestling as possible.
Well, yeah. What would Vince Russo say to that? Of maybe people shouldn't be involved in wrestling. He's a guy that's still in wrestling despite loathing it or hating it or whatever the hell. The siren song is too much for Vince Russo, and he doesn't understand that. Yeah, some of these people will swim right to this. It's not good. So then he wakes up and he receives a DM from Francine, ECW's Francine. And Francine tells him that Daffney took her own life. And he's like, I still don't believe it. I miss her so much. And he's like, she donated her brain to science, and that's why she shot herself in the chest. It's like, good grief. Oh my Lord. And I just wrote, this whole stream of consciousness just could have been its own chapter. All of this, it didn't need to be
Started with Kevin Sullivan dying.
I mean, that could just been why not? All these other chapters are he has one chapter later in the book that's just a couple paragraphs about Eric faked playing a guitar, but he was a good performer. That's it. That's the whole chapter.
There's a chapter like that?
Yeah, it's called Eric Feliciano.
Wow. Okay.
And that's it. That's all it's about. Just, hey, we did a segment where Eric faked playing the guitar. It was pretty good. 2 paragraphs. Why can't the Kevin Sullivan and Daffney thing be a whole chapter? So we go into Eric's role in TNA, and he talks about he doesn't like being called a liar. He doesn't like the word liar. No one tells the truth in wrestling unless you're from New York, of course. That's what he says. His adversaries, he says, his ops, say that he lies about everything. Well, guess what? Nobody's ever caught him in a lie. I was like, we have. I'm pretty sure we have. Like,
I didn't even
times.
care to go back to find out.
I didn't either, but I was like, I know. I feel like we were like, that's not true. And he's like, nothing in pro wrestling is even important enough to lie about. Which is like, then why are you? What is this like? Most correct. Lying to yourself right now, Vince. Pro wrestling, everybody's lying to you. Did you know that? And then he goes, I've got to digress for a moment, which I guess this isn't a stream of consciousness. This is just him digress. It's a separate thing. To digress is something different than to have a interrupted, an intrusive thought. Stream of consciousness is an intrusive thought. This is a digression. I recently read a transcript.
I know.
I recently read a transcript from Eric's podcast, 83 Weeks, co-hosted by Conrad Thompson. It's like a transcript? Someone's printing this out for you? What the fuck is happening? A transcript of a podcast? He's not listening. He doesn't want you to think he's listening, okay?
That's Jeff Lane. That's Jeff Lane's job to
Jeff
fax him.
Is passing him,
83
emailing.
weeks.
Here's what you need to know. He's typing out Eric, semicolon. You delusional piece of shit. Conrad, semicolon. Talk me up. And Eric said he never wanted to go to TNA. And Dixie just wanted Hogan. And Hogan said that he can't come in unless he has Eric. And Bubba the Love Sponge told Vince Russo that Hulk was trying to talk Dixie into firing Russo and let Eric take over the booking. And Russo says, "Oh, aces and eights for 10 years. That'd have been good." Settle down, Vince. Settle down. Okay, can't be Vince Russo and start poo-pooing on other people's wondrous creations.
Man, I don't
But by the way, aren't the aces and eights? Aren't those the Harris brothers? His boys?
No.
Because I'm thinking of their skull.
This is going to be
chain.
another instance of Russo being right. That was Bischoff running creative, and that was way worse than anything Russo ever did. It was a motorcycle gang.
That's what I'm thinking of, the Harris brothers when they did the skull and 8-ball.
Yeah, no, this was like Kennedy, D'Lo Brown, Taz, Bubba Ray Dudley, and they all like.
Why are they a motorcycle gang?
They
Sons
were
of
in a
Anarchy
motorcycle
was
gang.
on at the time or something?
Yes. You know, Bischoff loves motorcycles.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, what fucking losers.
Eric Bischoff thinking motorcycles is cool.
Yeah. He was so excited when Sons of Anarchy came out.
Dude. Him walking up to people in the back being like, have you seen it? Talk. You gotta watch it, man. I'll loan you the DVDs. Eric would only be involved in Hulk's creative. Okay? That's what Dixie told Vince Russo. Eric will only be involved in Hulk's creative. So it's the creative team at TNA is Vince Russo, Ed Ferrara, his boy, and young, quote unquote, young Matt Conway. Remember him from Rope Opera.
Oh, yeah. He loves Matt Conway.
Parentheses, a writer that I groomed at TNA. Okay. So can't put quote unquote young Matt Conway and be like, I groomed him. And then he goes, well, isn't that all sound familiar? How Eric comes in and he's only going to have one thing that he's got to do. But here's this is he has not done this before in any of his books. Vince Russo's like, this is how Eric Bischoff thinks. He was like, I'll sit in the creative meetings and act like the model team player. I'll only interject myself when it comes to Hulk's creative. Then once the meeting breaks, I don't know. Maybe I'll grab a cream soda first. But is that like a thing we don't know about Eric Bischoff? That he likes a cream soda? Maybe I'll grab a cream soda first, but soon thereafter I will meet with Dixie one-on-one and tell her that Vince doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and she'll buy it. She'll buy it, and she's naive because I, Eric, am one of the best workers in the business and have been for years. And then he just is like, can you imagine someone that put WCW out of business burying me? Someone that I put WCW on the ropes, and he's saying he's better than me. I took his job at WCW. Imagine the goal, the unmitigated goal. Ed Ferrara was practically throwing up in his own mouth every time Eric would begin to speak. Here is one of Vince Russo's all-time favorite encounters between Ed Ferrara and Eric Bischoff. Eric soon in these meetings began to bring up Hogan's friends. Hey, you know who we should hire? Insert name. And this time it was, hey, you know what we should hire? The Nasty Boys. And Vince Russo was like, the Nasty Boys? Aren't they a decade past their prime? What year is this? Decade?
Ed.
Oh, Ed is? Well, yes. Ed does start, but Vince says, but now we're talking.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes. But Vince Russo was like, Brian Knobb's a sweetheart, but a decade? Aren't they a decade past their prime? And I was like, what year is this written? Or what year was this in TNA? Well over a decade past their prime. Vince.
Oh,
being
yeah.
very kind to him. But Ed.
Well,
asked,
no. In '99, fucking Knobbs was hardcore champ for Russo, so it would be 10 years past that.
Oh, so that's the prime for the Nasty Boys. Is
yeah.
Brian Knobbs walking up to Vince Russo, being like, "Thank you for utilizing me in my prime, proving to people." Ed asked Eric, are they still even a draw? And Eric gets red in the face and he's biting. This is Vince Russo's. Red in the face, biting his lip. What's a draw, Ed? As my good friend Stevie Ray would say, it's going to be on like a steaming pot of neck bones. Okay. Ed says, you know, Eric, a draw. Does anybody still care about the Nasty Boys? And then he says, man, when you call Eric out like that, you're going to pay the price for the rest of your life. And I realized quickly that this was the end of the story, that it wasn't on like a steaming, helping a neck bones. And I just was like, is there any more? I thought this was one of your favorite encounters. It just is Ed asking Eric if they're a draw.
You should have seen his face, bro. It was red.
He was biting his lip. And he was like, what's a draw, Ed?
The Nasty Boys came in, so you guys lost.
Exactly. Vince Russo says you should be doing when you're in creative, you should be doing what's best for business and what's best for the company you work for over what's best for a friend. I never gave anybody a job because they were my friend. And I was like, I think you did.
What's Vito doing?
You did. And you would write, and I think it was Rope Opera or something that you wrote that was like, well, not in this case, it wasn't that. He earned the job. Okay. And then he was just like, look, Eric Bischoff is just like a kiss ass for Hulk Hogan and does Hulk Hogan's like dirty work. And you know what? That's loyalty. So kudos. That's what he gets a little chippy. Stream of consciousness. And he goes, in that last chapter, I went in hard on Eric, buddy. We're still in it. I don't know who wrote this or where you think you're, but I can't take it back. Again, what is this? He can't hit the delete button. I can't take it back. I can't take any of it back. And if I did, I wouldn't be truthful. It's like that's what writing is for him. It's all bottled up, and he gets it all out, even if it stinks. He's gonna put it out there. It's painful, too painful. You better believe I wrote, try reading it. He's cleansing his soul, Larry. Let's be right here. How was working with Hulk? Well, it was great. Never had any issues with Hulk except for that one promo. Never. So it was polite. It was always Eric Bischoff. Eric would bury Vince Russo to anybody. Here's the list. He writes it out. WCW. He buried him to Hulk Hogan. He buried him to executive Brad Siegel. And then that list is over. TNA. Hulk Hogan again. Dixie Carter. Spike executive Scott Fishman. And Spike executive Kevin K, which is a misspelling. That's not how you spell his name. And it's not just any Spike executive. He was the president of Spike. And then he goes, Eric Bischoff became the executive producer of TNA, which I suggested and backed. And Spike TV president Kevin K, there you go, ripped me publicly for no apparent reason. And I could not find any of that anywhere. All I found was an executive named David Schwartz, who was senior vice president of communications for Spike TV. He gave Dave Meltzer a statement after the whole Vince Russo thing blew up, where it blows up, and then Vince Russo does an interview where he goes, you know what, Spike TV, now I can say it. Spike TV is a horrible partner for TNA, right? They're never going to grow on TNA. They got to change TV stations. And David Schwartz says, I want to start by saying we enjoyed a great relationship, a very collaborative relationship with Dixie Carter and her team over the years. We took TNA from a late night spot on Saturday nights, doing 500,000 viewers, to a 2-hour time slot that did 2 million viewers over time. Spike went out of its way, not just adhering to its contract, but above and beyond the contract. We paid Hulk Hogan and we paid Eric Bischoff with our money. We financed many shows. We financed the UK shows. And we helped promote. We gave TNA a primetime slot on Thursdays from 9 to 11. And I think his comments are way off base, Vince Russo. Clearly, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's somebody who thinks more of himself than really exists. Vince Russo never meant anything to Spike TV. He had nothing to do with the negotiations, and nobody cares about Vince Russo at Spike TV. Nobody cares or knows who he is. We have a great relationship with TNA, and we went above and beyond for them as they did for us. What Vince Russo is saying is complete nonsense. And that's the only thing I could find where he would feel like he has to, like some Spike executive has taken some kind of swipe at him that he doesn't even know who it is.
Yeah, I didn't find anything on Kevin K. In fact, Kevin K kind of defended him, saying the email thing didn't get him fired. It was actually just economics.
Yeah, when the Nitro, which then Vince Russo takes that and goes, I told you, Meltzer. I told you, you're a liar. So why is Eric Bischoff obsessed with slandering Vince Russo behind his back? Well, it's all a revenge game, don't you know? He was the guy that broke the 83 weeks. And Eric will never let that go. He believes there were deeper roots for Eric's absolute hatred towards me, but he will get into that later. And Vince Russo would like you to also know, I never talked behind Eric's back. I never said anything bad about him, ever. But he did confront him twice. Chapter 8 is called Vince Russo, Pathological Liar. Starts with a quote. Vince Russo is a pathological liar, Eric Bischoff. And Vince Russo goes, before we go any further, let's get the dictionary definition of what exactly a pathological liar is.
Let's pad this book.
Let's get the dictionary definition. Next sentence. According to the definition on Wikipedia. What? What are we doing? Why is this guy so dumb? Don't you, just go to the dictionary. Wikipedia? But then it's like a paragraph where he writes pathological lying, also known as pseudologia fantastica, Latin for a fantastic pseudology, is a chronic behavior characterized by the habitual or compulsive tendency to lie. It involves a pervasive pattern of intentionally making false statements with the aim to deceive others, sometimes for no clear or apparent reason, and even if the truth is beneficial to the liar. People who engage in pathological lying often claim to be unaware of the motivations for their lies. And I'm underlining all this because I'm like, this sounds like you, man. There's no reasons. And then you'll also be like, why would I? Why would I say that?
You know what thought I had is if you've read books, biographies, autobiographies from creatives, writers, directors, they don't praise their own work. They criticize it or just don't talk about it. They've moved on.
Yeah.
Russo's so unique in that he's just so caught up in propping up any small success he's ever had. I've never really heard him cop to a failure. As far as it being his fault and not outside forces.
Yeah, the most he'll ever say is like, these were my reasonings, and it could have worked maybe in another, like, hypothetical situation.
I don't think he ever gets that far down.
This if standards and practices hadn't gotten in the way, or if it wasn't me, it was actually Tony Schiavone who actually was really spearheading that. He definitely chimes up on like the Attitude Era being him. It used to be like him and Vince, and then like as the books have gone on, it's just Russo is the which he does the McMahon emails in this, where he's like, you need to have more respect for me because I was the one that actually did the Attitude Era. And then Vince just texts him back like, we're done. You can stop messaging me. So if you're and he goes, so he reads that definition from Wikipedia, the dictionary definition, and he goes, to sum this up, that would mean I lie all the time. If that's true, then I guess I'm just a big liar. And it's like, And he goes, well, if you're a liar, aren't you afraid of getting caught? To be exposed? So let's stick with this logic. And then he writes an insane sentence. I'm a guy huge on logic. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. He's in his book is written in like, I know it didn't make any sense. It's not the point. He's also doing Occam's razor for lying. Logically, let's attack lies with logic. It's logic makes sense. It always. That's another great sentence. Logic makes sense. ... It always makes sense. So if Vince Russo is a pathological liar, as Eric Bischoff says, then why would Vince Russo openly invite Eric Bischoff to his podcast? A one-on-one conversation. Wouldn't Eric Bischoff like to just hoist Vince up by his own petard? And why wouldn't Eric accept, other than he's the liar and he's afraid of being exposed?
Wait a second. Okay, keep going.
None of it really makes any sense, he says. Does it? I said, yeah, you're just both liars. Can't it just be you're both liars about various things and you're just like just spending your twilight years bullshitting? I don't know what do they get out of like a wrestling fan in Ohio or anywhere going, you know what? I think he's telling the truth.
A couple more T-shirt sales. I don't know.
I guess it's over. It's over. Their careers are over. Like we've talked about their stuff ad nauseum. And then he goes, well, if you believe Eric, well then guess what? The first 34 pages of this book is an absolute lie. It's not 34, it's 41. Okay? Because you misnumbered the pages. I'm just sitting here making all this shit up. For what? I have no idea. I'm a pathological liar. And Yeah, that is the definition. It says in the thing that you have no idea why or any motivation. You just do it to just do it. Conrad Thompson, who I both respect and admire,
Great.
was putting together Ric Flair's last hurrah weekend. Was that what it was called? Ric Flair's last hurrah weekend? I thought it was just called Ric Flair's last match.
Yeah, I don't remember the last hurrah.
Last hurrah weekend. And Conrad wanted to know if Eric and Vince would sit down and have like a debate. Conrad likes to do the like stuff around the event.
Yeah.
And Vince Russo said yes. And Vince goes, would a pathological liar agree to something like that and be exposed in front of everybody? Face their accuser? And he says, if I'm being honest, I knew Eric wasn't going to agree to it. And Eric Bischoff always says no, because Eric Bischoff says, why would I debate Vince Russo? Every word out of his mouth would be a lie. So it never happens. And he says if he was Eric, and he's been calling somebody a liar for 25 years, he would give his left nut, capital N-U-T, to confront that person and call them out. So why does Eric Bischoff refuse? Could it be I'm not the one who's the liar? This is it. We're at the end here. We're right back. Why I don't lie. Next chapter, follow up. Why I don't lie. He's going to get into, quote, some deep thought here. He meets people, and they often say, Vince, based on what I heard or read, I thought you would be a total schmuck. But you're actually a nice guy. One sentence. Yeah, no shit. And he just wants you to know that coming from a loud Italian-American family, What's wrong? You were always serving up the truth. Up close, personal, and in your grill. Don't forget, you're from New York. New York. Always Y-A-W-K. It's just the way he was raised. And then he hit me with it. It's a New York thing. New Yorkers are just no nonsense. No BS.
Is that why they elected Eric Adams?
Right. Does Mick Foley? We talked about this, but Mick Foley doesn't call himself a New Yorker. He doesn't go walk around and go, look, I'm a New Yorker through and through. I grew up on a Long Island.
This is an obnoxious personality type.
No, he's not a caricature. This is really him. See, this is what I'm talking about, Vince Russo. What's wrong with you? You're broken. And Vince Russo figures, look, there's only 3 times that you maybe would lie. That he can even, as a person that doesn't lie, this is what he can come up with. 3 reasons why you would lie. 1, cheating on your wife. Okay. And he goes, and this is Vince's time in every book to say, by the way, I have not cheated on my wife. And I could have. And I was around it, but I haven't. Okay. Always has to put that in there. 2, murder. And he says he hasn't murdered anyone, but he figures you would lie if he did. And then 3, to not hurt someone else's feelings. And then he says, I have probably done that, but actually I do tell people the truth a lot, and it's worth doing to just tell somebody, even though you probably should lie. Which is the thing we've talked about with Vince, where it's like, I think people just think you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Wrapping up, I think this is the last one. Eric and Hulk's first TNA show. Hulk went on Larry King Live wearing a TNA t-shirt. Vince thought he was selling himself more than TNA and didn't like that. Wasn't getting the word out on TNA, more just was talking about himself. Dixie was borderline orgasmic, he says about the interview. He says, I don't know if this is a great piece of it. I don't know if I wrote this in my other book or not, but I'll write it here even if I did. Dixie made everybody dress up like Hulk Hogan when Hulk Hogan was coming in. All the crew. I said, yeah, I don't remember that. And so she made everybody in the back dress up like Hulk Hogan for Hulk Hogan showing up. Eric was meeting with executives. The Spike execs were eating it like it was filet mignon and caviar with a fine aged wine. They're excited. So, meanwhile, during all this, Vince Russo's thinking about Vince McMahon's words about Hulk Hogan. His last words he ever talked about Hulk Hogan to Vince Russo. I don't give a shit about Hulk Hogan. He hasn't drawn me a dime. That's crazy. That was 7 years earlier, Vince said. So now he's like, well, Vince McMahon said that. He's definitely not going to draw now. They're signing Jeff Hardy. I didn't know. He says Hogan's friends. I didn't know Jeff Hardy was such a Hogan friend. Well, there it is. Jeff Hardy, Scott Hall, Ric Flair, the Nasty Boys. Dixie spending money that Vince Russo believes the family does not have. He remembers a meeting vividly because it's when he first meets Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah, wait, what is Russo talking about?
What?
The Carters were billionaires.
He doesn't believe so. He thinks that he understands the cons are, but he believes that the Carters did not have a fuck you money.
They were in the oil business.
No.
I have an easier time believing they have money than over fucking Shad Khan selling bumpers.
In Vince's mind, what he says, does he bring up the oil, or does he just say he definitely says
Hogan,
Panda Energy?
I mean, Hogan was getting $1 million a year, so even if all those guys were, that's $10 million a year. That's fucking shit. That's nothing, Vince.
Well, he does also. He has a weird concept of the economics of the promotion, because he'll be like, I was staying in a Holiday Inn, but Eric was staying in first class hotels and flying for. What's that about? And it's like, he's making more than you. He's got perks. I was gonna see if the Panda thing, but I can't find it. Yeah, he does bring up over and over that he just is like, the Carters just didn't have that kind of money, and she was like recklessly spending it. Or maybe at least he's trying to say they didn't want to spend it on wrestling. Or something like that. I don't know. That he is doing a thing of like, I was trying to be fiscally responsible, or like advising Dixie to be fiscally responsible. So he says Bubba the Love Sponge oozed charisma. It's definitely somebody that oozes things. Charisma, I don't know. So Vince Russo describes a creative meeting about Hulk Hogan, at TNA as being Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan, Bubba the Love Sponge, young Matt, and Ed Ferrara, all sitting on two twin beds talking about what they want to do. Bubba the Love Sponge started booking the show, and Ed Ferrara, you should have seen the eye roll of Ed Ferrara. Vince is still laughing about it 15 years later, thinking, Eric hated Bubba. And if I'm being honest here, parentheses, which again, I'm probably not being because of the pathological liar thing. Eric has trapped this man's mind to where he's like, Eric has checkmated this man's mind where he is like coming and going about lying. Bubba had a charm about him. He was flippin' hysterical. Dixie Carter's no Tony Khan. There were no billions of dollars here, he said. We had Taco Tuesdays going in catering just to save $1. He says that he remembers a night where they had a match inside some kind of special dome-like structure. Okay. Isn't that the X match thing? Is that what they put in the dome?
No, it was different. It was it was a dome. Homicide couldn't get out.
This is that story. I loved Homicide as a fellow New Yorker. He describes Homicide as exciting out the wazoo.
Another guy oozing charisma.
Yes. This is him again he goes back to the thing where he goes, I was telling him all day, 3 times I told him, know how to get out of the cage. And Homicide kept saying, I got this. And then he couldn't. And his point to all that is, well, now Eric and Hogan are in, and all their friends are coming in. And if you do shit like that, I can't save you. I like you, but I can't save you. Hogan and Eric are going to take you out. And then he remembers a 5-second conversation that I had. Okay, this is easy. Look, it's he just wants to talk about Bernie. Bernie is a woman that worked at Universal Studios to keep an eye on the TNA production. She's like security. And this is how he describes Bernie. Bernie was probably in her late 30s, early 40s, black gray hair, very short in stature, who smoked like a freaking chimney. And basically he found her very charming in that he would try and he'd sneak away, find a location they weren't allowed to shoot in, grab everybody, shoot it, and then, Bernie would be like, hey, what are you doing? And then he'd go run off, and they're playing around. She was good at her job, but clearly not, because he constantly get away with stuff. And Scott Hall's being Scott Hall, which then he adds in the thing of like, he's like, I brought this up. He has brought this up. That Scott Hall, he just didn't really like working with Scott Hall, made his life miserable. And one time he said he asked Scott Hall, why did you never like me? And Scott Hall said, because I never liked the fact that you get so much credit in the wrestling business and Eric gets none. Okay. So Scott Hall's being Scott Hall at TNA, and they're walking behind him, and all these new people are coming in. And this woman that works security at Universal Studios, Bernie, turns to Vince and says, Vince, things feel different, and I don't have a good feeling about this. And that's when Vince Russo knew it was doomed. And that's, boom, the first 50. Look at that, right under the wire.
Good.
And then next week, it looks like we get Awesome Kong and Bubba. What else do we get? Jeff Jarrett swinging a miss, some booking, Eric, Dixie the Talent, Double J, yep, Bruce Pritchard, and yeah, maybe do we get to Jeff Hardy's? No, confronting Bruce is at the end of it. Him and Bruce Pritchard start getting into it. Fun stuff.
Right.
Anyway,
All right.
Anyway, that's it.
Done?
Okay. Yeah, we're done. Me too. That's why I was drinking a Red Bull.
Mm.
All right. Bye.
It's Wilson again. That was fun. I bet it was the best episode ever. You know what you can do to help the workers out? Rate, review, all that good stuff on whatever app you're listening to. Tell us how much you love us. If you want to contact us, it's theworkersclubshow@gmail.com. We got a YouTube, The Workers Club Podcast, a Blue Sky, theworkersclub.org, and we have a Discord where the invite link is left in various places. I'm sure you can find it. That's it. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Bye.
Smile and love each other.